It's Over Opinionated. Opinionated with Josh Cott.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Over Opinionated. Sorry we didn't have a new episode. Last week we played a rerun of dealing with depression biblically, which I actually think was an episode I put a lot of heart into, so I just shared it. But me and my wife took a little trip to Atlanta, Georgia on our second honeymoon. Saw some cool things. We went to the Georgia Aquarium. If you're ever in Atlanta, especially if you have kids, but even if you don't have kids, the Georgia Aquarium is amazing. To see all the aquatic life that they have. I think it's worth the price of admission. We also went to the Coca-Cola Museum, the history of Coke. They're right beside each other. And I like companies. I like looking into companies, and the soft drink war, the Coke war, Pepsi versus Coke is really cool to me. Both Pepsi and Coca-Cola was invented by former Confederate soldiers, and I think that's pretty awesome. So it's a Confederate and American history right there. And when we're going through the museum, I just think it's funny because when we're going through the museum, they say he was a Civil War soldier, but they went over that real quickly, and went over that very quickly and did not say what side of the war he was on. So John Sif Pemberton. I'll read you a little history about Coca-Cola's founder. I just think it's interesting. And then we're going to get into the news. But I want to read you a little bit about Coca-Cola's founder. I'm just going to read you a little bit about the founder of Coca-Cola. Not that I'm promoting their brand or not. I'm definitely not. I'd probably have some disagreements with their company when it comes to things. I think that they went a little woke during the pandemic in 2020. But John Swift Pemberton, I'm mispronouncing his name, was born July 8th, 1831. He was an American pharmacist and a member of the Confederate States Army. He invented Coca-Cola on May 8th, 1886. He developed an early version of a beverage that would later become called Coca-Cola. He sold the rights shortly before his death in 1888. And the story goes, he suffered from a saber wound in April 1865 during the Battle of Columbus. His efforts to control his chronic pain led to morphine addiction. In an attempt to curb his addiction, he began experimenting with various painkillers and toxins and developed an early beverage. Blend alcohol and cocaine led to a recipe that later was adapted to making Coca-Cola. So, the founder of Coca-Cola was a Confederate soldier. Earlier I said Pepsi was as well, and I apologize, I did get that incorrect. But the founder of Coca-Cola was a Confederate Civil War veteran. But I just want to get into, I'll tell, just a little bit more about our honeymoon trip. It was very fun. We got a good break. Got to take a break for a little bit. It's the most furthest south I've ever been. Believe it or not. I've never been to Atlanta, Georgia, and I finally got to go. It's really cool. I want to go back. Go look at the Civil War stuff. But when I was looking around, you could definitely tell there's a lot of diversity in skin color. And when we were in the Coca-Cola Museum, you had just many different races of people, all getting along, all enjoying basically capitalism. All were joking with each other and stuff, and it was a really awesome sight to see. And when stuff isn't just pulling us apart, and we're just human beings, that doesn't mean there's not racial tensions. There is, and there always will be. But we can come together about something like a great American brand, Coca-Cola. I'm not even saying I love the company, but there's no doubt that Coca-Cola is one of the biggest markets in the United States, one of the biggest advertisers in the United States. Heck, it changed the way we see Santa Claus because they started putting Santa Claus in their commercials with a red suit. Now everyone sees Santa Claus as now everybody sees Santa Claus wearing red in their head, right? They made a lot of people think that polar bears were friendly, cuddly creatures when they're monstrous and will kill anything that moves. Do never touch a polar bear because you will die. So it's one of the most vicious creatures. I mean, you could say they're beautiful, and they are cute cartoons. I'm not saying it's wrong, but we've humanized them. We made them what we wanted them to be to sell stuff. But okay, let's get into the big news. We are going to tackle some spiritual topics later, but I have to talk about the big news about President Vladimir Zelenskyy coming to the White House. I listened to almost about the whole press conference before the big fight went down with President Trump and J.D. Vance. I'm going to give you my take on that. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to pause it periodically and give you my opinion on it. And because this is huge news, this war has been going on for 3 years now. And if it wasn't for the United States, Ukraine would be, no matter what Zelenskyy says, Ukraine would not be an independent country right now. Even with the help of Europe, it wouldn't be. So let's listen to Vice President Vance, President Donald Trump, and President Vladimir Zelenskyy have a argument in the Oval Office. So I'm going to start this clip. It's an 11-minute clip, but it's so important to understand everything that's going on. And it starts off by a reporter asking President Trump if he's afraid he's too aligned with quote-unquote President Vladimir Putin. He's really just a dictator. But I'm going to play it, and I'm going to pause it periodically and let you know my thoughts on this debacle.
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hate.
Okay, he goes to Vladimir Zelenskyy and says, look at the hate he has for Putin. And this is the stick. Trump plays more friendly with our enemies and more harshly with our friends. That's just what he does. You might not like it, but he does that. The United States of America, and even still, President Trump is on the side of the Ukrainian people and President Zelenskyy. But we have to be the tough guy. We have to be the tough negotiator in the room trying to make a deal for peace. So I'm going to allow this to continue.
And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I can be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes.
And see, that's what he's saying. He is saying that he can't get a deal being super tough on Vladimir Putin, who is the bad guy, who is a dictator. Okay? I know some people have been calling Zelenskyy a dictator. If he is, it's not on the same scale as Vladimir Putin. Let's start playing it back. It might be a little bit elapsed over, but that's fine.
But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. One more question.
I would respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
I'm going to stop before Zelenskyy comes in there. He's exactly right. Actions do matter more than words. Now, we did give Ukraine a lot of stuff, but we've totally shut down talks with Putin, as evil as he was, and JD even admits that Putin started this war. So let's go on and hear Zelenskyy.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, parts of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014?
2015.
Yeah. So
I was
he killed.
not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are.
Okay, so I'm going to stop him right here before he goes on further. He's exactly right. Russia has been chipping away at Ukraine for a while now. For over 10 years. In 2014, Russia invaded Crimea and annexed it. Well, they say it's part of their country now. Nobody recognizes it. That was wrong. It should not have been done. It was under President Obama that happened. That doesn't mean that it was necessarily his fault. But we do see I'm going to call him dictator. We see dictator Putin taking more and more land of Ukraine when a Democrat's in office. Obama's in office, he takes Crimea. Biden's in office after the horrible Afghanistan pullout that he orchestrated. A horrible, horrible thing where 13 Americans died, and we basically surrendered the entire country of Afghanistan to the Taliban. I mean, basically served it up on a silver platter. I agree we should have got out of there, but not like that. Not like that. Just years, almost, I think 20 years, the United States was in there. Our soldiers died, and we spent our tax dollars in there to get rid of terrorism in Afghanistan, and Biden hands it over on a silver platter, and then they'll blame Trump for issuing a deal with the Taliban, and Trump did issue a deal with the Taliban, but there was rules in place that if it was not followed, the withdrawal would have not happened. But, let's continue with Zelenskyy.
Dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broke this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm going to stop this right.
Let's take a quick break.
Has anybody ever told you you were over opinionated? How about this one? You can talk about everything you like, but don't talk about religion, don't talk about faith, don't talk about politics. My name is Jerome McClain, host of Jerome McClain Show, and I want to introduce you to a show called Over Opinionated with my friend from Southwest Virginia, Josh Scott. Josh has always been told he has been over-opinionated. He always tried to hold back these opinions, but he tried to back them up when he had to say something with facts and logic. Since he's grown up in many ways, he had to change a lot of his views and his opinions, as a lot of people should. He's not a millionaire from Fox News or CNN. He's just a hard-working, blue-collar type of guy. Give Josh Scott a shot at Over Opinionated with Josh Scott. You can find him on patreon.com/overopinionated at 679. You can also check him out on Twitter at NRV_guy79. Over Opinionated with Josh Scott, where he is this soft-spoken guy telling you the truth.
And some people might say I'm being a stickler. I'm okay with being on a first name basis sometimes. But when you come to the United States of America, assisting our aid after your country's been getting aid from us, if you wanted to call him Vice President JD, that is fine. But just to call him by his first name in this context, now if they're out at a bar or something, fine. You're in the Oval Office, the media is surrounding you. Some people criticize him about what he wore. I thought what he wore was professional and is fine for a man whose country's at war. But, my gosh, show some respect. It's not JD, it's Mr. Vice President. But I'm going to let him continue.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
I'm going to pause him right there. And JD's not wrong. Zelenskyy was being aggressive toward JD, and maybe you could say JD is being aggressive at the first. But Zelenskyy pushed JD in front of the media, and he doesn't call him Mr. Vice President. JD calls him Mr. President. This is in the United States of America, in the Oval Office of your greatest ally that has gave you the most supplies and most money, most resources you've had so far, and you disrespect him by calling him JD. So I'm going to keep continuing.
Ukraine, that you say what problems we have.
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
What?
Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, Everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
That's where Zelenskyy screwed up. I understand why he's trying to say that if Russia wins, that America could feel Russian influence. But when you are relying on the country, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Gosh, it's so dumb of him to do that. I just think he was kind of looking for it at this point. He was looking for a fight. And you didn't have to say that. You just say, we had problems and then move on. But it was ridiculous. Here's President Trump's rightful response. Now, actually, people might pull up clips here and there of Trump being loud and defensive. I don't think he was the jerk in this situation. I think Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, I think he's the jerk in this situation to come to the United States. Call the vice president, you called the vice president, instead of calling him Mr. Vice President, you call him JD. You try to make it out, try to scare Americans saying that you'll feel Russia influence. You try to take us advantage for everything we've gave you. And I'm going to play and let you hear what President Trump says, and I agree with President Trump 100%.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
Exactly right. Who is Zelenskyy to come into the White House saying you're going to feel Russian influence if we lose, while begging for us to continue your war? Trump is trying to make peace. Trump is trying his best to stop the killing in Ukraine. Ukraine cannot push Russia out of their borders. I wish they could. But even with our backing, they cannot do it. There has been a stalemate for a long time now. A very long time now. And should we, as a country, keep giving them our resources and our money? Or should we end the war? And in ending war, there's compromises. Here's Zelenskyy.
to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
You're playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You're
Gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think
gambling
about?
with
What do you
World
think
War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
Very
they should
Have
have.
you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting, have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation.
He did do that. He did go to Pennsylvania with Josh Shapiro, and he might say, well, he's just thanking everybody and everything. He did it a week before the election, guys. He did it a week before the election. How do you not call that campaigning? How do you not just stay home until the election is over and then go to that factory? He 100% campaigned for Biden-Harris because he knows Trump's not going to roll over and give him everything he wants. And I agree with President Trump. You're coming to the White House. You're coming to the United States after we've gave you billions of dollars, after we've gave you much equipment, and you want to keep this war going, and to try to win back your land. I'm sorry, you haven't done much in the war since you've stopped them where they are now, in the eastern regions. You haven't advanced any. You've stopped them from advancing, but you are not advancing yourself. And I agree. I think the Ukrainian citizens and soldiers have been very brave. I wish the best for Ukraine. But I have to say, what benefits the United States of America? When we've had people in North Carolina freeze to death because they lost their homes in the hurricane, and they had no homes, they were living in tents, and then the FEMA director was going awful. Man. And we're giving money to Ukraine. I'm not even saying we can't. But you know how that makes Americans feel? We should be putting our own country first. You could say that makes me selfish. I don't think it does. I love my countrymen. I want to help the world. I want to help Ukraine. I want to help Taiwan. I want to help these other countries. But not at the expense of America. Not at our own expenses. Okay? And I would totally understand if Americans were in harm's way or needed help and another country said, we can't do it right now. We've been paying the way for Europe. We've been paying by NATO. We're the biggest player in NATO by far. We are subsidizing these countries and their social programs by us defending them. And it's got to stop. I'm not saying that we're going to leave them out to dry or leave NATO out to dry. I don't want to do that. There's been some rumors. Some people on the right say we want to get out of NATO. I think that's one of the worst things you could do. NATO is a good thing that keeps Russia at bay. But the other players need to step up. I'm glad that Europe is now trying to step up a little bit after this meeting, after everything going on. I am glad about that. It's on your continent. You should be doing more. I'm going to continue the conversation.
For the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and not
haven't been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and your
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course he has.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said it a lot of times.
Except
to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go.
Did you see what Zelenskyy did there in that clip? Accusing Trump of saying the same words of Vladimir Putin. It's just true. Ukraine would not have resisted the war without U.S. aid. And European aid, but mainly U.S. aid. It's just true. And you're going into the White House, you're biting the... Just because you're speaking softly doesn't mean the things you're saying aren't incredibly rude. Just because... And you're not always... He's not even always speaking softly. So I just think this is beyond ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous.
Litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low on
know.
soldiers. Listen,
Don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
But this
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
That's exactly true. Without the United States, Ukraine could have not have withstood the Russian invasion. But with our help, because we are a good country, regardless of what all the crybabies want to say, we are a good country. Not a sinless one, but a good country. We help Ukraine. And because we want to put up a ceasefire, the president of Ukraine is mad because he wants all his land back. And I get that. But you can't do it. They haven't been able to do it in 2 years. Why could they do it now? How much more money, how much more resources do the United States have to keep pouring into this war? And how much more blood has to be shed for this land? And this land has actually got a lot of Russians in it anyway. Whoa, you're taking up for the Russians. No, I'm not. I'm saying a lot of ethnic Russians do live in this land. I'm not saying that Russia was right. They were dead wrong. Vladimir Putin is a dictator. By far. He's 10 times worse than Zelenskyy. He is a horrible human being. With that being said, this war does not benefit the United States any further. If we pull aid, and it just broke as I'm shooting this podcast, that President Trump said he's going to pull U.S. aid from Ukraine. He's doing this as a negotiation tactic. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. There is a mineral deal, a raw earth mineral deal. President Trump is, I think, ingeniously trying his best to enact. And it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And beyond that, because we would get more materials, it would pay us back for our investment in Ukraine. And it would help Americans. It'd help our industry. It would help innovation over here. It would be a good thing, and it would put U.S. personnel in Ukraine that would serve as a deterrent to Vladimir Putin. Also, I would tell Zelenskyy, let's put a couple U.S. bases, military bases in Ukraine. So you might not be able to be put in NATO, but if we do this, if we make a border wall between the occupied zone in Ukraine and Ukraine proper, the same way we have a buffer area between North and South Korea, or Cyprus, the island of Cyprus, between the northern Turkish Cyprus and then the Republic of Cyprus. That would be a good thing. We need to end this war. So I remember when people criticized the Republican Party for being the pro-war party, and we still have more war hawks in the party. And I don't like the war hawks mentality. I don't think that the United States should be 100% isolationist either. I think that is also very dangerous. I think we have to have a middle road approach where we're not just abandoning our allies, and we're not abandoning Ukraine here either. They need to make peace. They're being ridiculous. They need to make peace. And I don't want to abandon our allies around the world. I also don't want to be in every country with foot soldiers. War is not a good thing. It costs lives. Even wars that don't last long cost some lives. Even if it's a war that costs 5,000 lives, it costs 5,000 lives. And I remember when the Liberal Party was the anti-war party. Well, that's not exactly true. It had more anti-war people, more isolationists in it. There's still a lot of pro-war Democrats, pro-war hawk Democrats. We need to be in the middle. We never need to be so anxious to rush into bullets. For whatever reason, for political power in a region, for influence, for this or that. We don't need to do that. That's not our job at all. I want to continue the conversation.
Mr. Vice President, I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
That's true. The United States has empowered Ukraine to be more tough. If we pull our stuff like the president wants to, they will not be nearly as tough. And hopefully Ukraine comes to its senses. I understand losing territory sucks. But if you're not strong enough to push back the enemy, how long do you spend blood? Well, really, they're spending other countries' money. I mean, I know that they're contributing to themselves as well. And even President Trump was very... So he praised the brave men and women of Ukraine, and Zelenskyy said thank you. So after this, President Trump kicked out President Zelenskyy for the dogfight. And you might say, well, Trump was louder than that, and Zelenskyy was trying to talk peace. Even if you say something quietly that's jerkish, does not mean you're right. It doesn't. I'm a quiet talker, for the most part. I can yell if I'm promoted too, but for the most part, I'm a quiet talker. And I try my best not to be a jerk. But you can say something that's really jerky in a soft tone. And President Trump's just tired of the bullcrap. This is what I elected President Trump to do. I am an American first. That doesn't mean I'm a world last. But I love my country first. You can say that's unchristian. You can say that's selfish. I don't think you're right. I don't think it's unchristian to love your country first. I still love Ukraine. I do. I still want them to win this war. I want this war to end. I pray every day for the persecuted church around the world, for my brothers and sisters in North Korea and China, and all over this planet that are being killed to spread the gospel. They're my brothers. They're my sisters in the Lord. They might not be in this country, but I still love them. I still love them. I've been very critical of President Trump and how he's handled the Gaza-Israel situation. And a lot of times I'm going against my own party on that. And that's okay, because I think the way Israel is acting is wrong, and I think they're guilty of war crimes. Not genocide, but war crimes. I guess I'm going to vent a little bit. Yeah, there's this lady I'm friends with. I went to a Bible study with her. And, I think it's safe to say, she's liberal. Very well, actually, she's more than liberal. Her and her husband are communist. And, they went to a conservative church for a long time. It didn't work out. And, I don't know. if she considers herself a progressive Christian in one sense. But I just saw her post about abortion. And she's never been super pro-abortion, but she's made some hints. And she was talking about women dying in the United States for not having abortions. And it's just a lie. I'm not saying women aren't dying with abortion complications. But what's going on right now is, in every single state in the United States, you can get an abortion for the life of the mother if you're going to die. But these doctors are getting antsy, and they're like, well, I can't do this, I'm going to go to jail. What is their motive? Are they really just afraid to go to jail? Or do they not care too much about this mother? And they have alternative modes. It might be a little bit of both. I'd suspect it is, actually. Well, how could you ever say that about a medical professional? No, I'm saying that about a butcher who murders babies. That's what abortionists are. They are butchers. They are legalized hitmen that murder babies. I have no respect for them. I pray that they come to repentance. They are the most disgusting, wicked, evil people you've ever met. They are no better than a slave trader. They're no better than someone who went to Africa during the slave trade, the slave triangle, and took people from Africa, shipped them to the United States for profit. They are no better than them. Oh, that's harsh. Well, so is dismembering a baby. So is murdering a baby by abortion. And all the people that are claiming that us conservative Christians, Republicans that are Christians, are being unchristian by wanting to put America first. I don't hate other countries. I do love other countries. I don't even want to stop helping other countries. But I do want to make sure Americans are helped first. I want America to be the best country. And I think some of this part of it, I think, comes from a hate of America and our core principles and what it stands for. They'll focus on the evils and the sins of America while neglecting all the greats of America. And both are unhealthy. It's unhealthy to only focus about our achievements and our greatness of America while neglecting the sins of America. And it's also bad to neglect the greatness of America while only emphasizing the sins of America. Both are wrong and I think lead to a path of destruction. I really do. But for you to tell me that you support the little guy, that you're so upset about these deportations, that it's so unchristian to send people back to their country of origin. Okay, maybe you can make somewhat of a point that I disagree with about being good to the foreigner. And I do agree with being good to the foreigner, but the foreigner needs to obey your laws and your customs and to assimilate. And I'm not even saying we got to get rid of all illegal aliens. I don't believe that. But I do believe we should get rid of a lot of them, especially the criminals. But for you to claim how inhumane and how unchristian it is, while diminishing a genocide in the United States of the unborn, and that's what abortion is. It is a genocide of unborn people that are being murdered, and the vast majority of abortions, you can bring up the small percentage of abortions that aren't for convenience purposes, and I think it's tragic when stuff like that happens, and I do, and I'm okay with a woman having an abortion to save her life. In most instances, the baby and the mom will die. I don't like it. It breaks my heart. And these liberals forget about the breaking of a heart part when it comes to killing the baby still, or getting rid of the baby. They just don't care. They have no love. They have no love for the truly little guy, They say they're for the little guy, they're for the working man, they're for this communism, they're for illegal immigrants, and for just the hippie pot smoking, everything's awesome man Jesus. And well, just read the red letters, right? Yeah, only the red letters in the Bible matter. And of those red letters, we only highlight some of them. We only highlight some of them. When Jesus says a man is talking about marriage, when a man's supposed to cling to his wife and whatnot, marriage is between a man and a woman. Oh, well, he never said anything about homosexuality. Well, he might never said anything directly about homosexuality, but he talks about marriage being between men and women. We don't highlight those red words too often. We don't do that. They don't highlight the red words when he talks about hell, But the black and white words matter just as much as the red words. And the Holy Spirit has inspired the entire Bible. There's nothing, and even I'll say this: there's nothing in the that the Old Testament God the Father did that upset Jesus. So everything in the Old Testament that God the Father did, Jesus was on board with. They are one God. They are one God. So this liberal, happy, hippie, progressive Christianity that's okay with illegal immigrants, communism, and all this, but they want to kill babies no matter what. And even if they say, well, we don't really like it, but we have to have it legal because of the small, rare cases of life with the mother, rape, and incest, instead of just outlawing the rest of them, we have to allow all of them. And it's not really that big of a deal that we murder babies in the womb. You don't have a heart. You are soulless. And at least in that capacity. It's disgusting. Beyond disgusting. Beyond disgusting to me. Don't you dare lecture me about deporting a rapist or a murderer or a drug dealer, criminal, alien back to their home country while you are ripping babies from the womb limb for limb and sucking their brain into a tube. Don't you dare talk to me about Jesus. Don't you dare talk to me about love. Don't you do it. You are a joke. You are disgusting. You need to repent. I'm not saying that my politics always lines up to the Bible. I'm sure there's a policy that I have that is not scriptural that I need to repent of. There are things in my life that I need to repent of. My politics are not perfect. But to allow something as evil as abortion is an abomination. Absolutely. There's no difference in slavery. The only difference is you're killing one, but you're both dehumanizing an individual. You're both dehumanizing an individual made in God's image to manipulate their life for your pleasure or for your comfort. That's what you're doing. When I was in Atlanta, Georgia, last weekend, there was a big mural of two African American women, and it said reproductive freedom, reproductive justice. How do they not see that they are, you talk to some woke people, they talk about black genocide. How do they not see that they're participating in black genocide by killing black unborn babies? That's what they're doing. They're murdering black unborn babies. African American reproductive justice. You know what that really means? Kill your black babies here. Josh, you're being mean, you're being rude, you're being crude. I'm being real. I'm being real. This is wrong. We got to repent. It's wrong. It is dead wrong. So no, I will not be lectured by someone who thinks that we're being too hard on the illegals, or we should be giving more money to other countries. Even if we disagree on how that's run. I will not be lectured by people who's okay with killing innocent children in and out of the womb. I'm sorry, not just in the womb. I will not be lectured by people who's okay with killing children in the womb. I didn't mean to say out of. Beyond hypocritical, beyond disgusting. If I'm willing to stand up against my own party when it comes to the war in Gaza and say that we have got it wrong and criticize President Trump on it, and you should be able to do the same with abortion. But instead, you're just going to be a coward. Disgusting to me. Absolutely disgusting to me. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy here, but it's just disgusting to me. Alright, I'm going to give you the Bible verse of today, and we're going to head out of here. Alright, for the verse of today, I'm going to leave you with Matthew chapter 5, verse 9 in the NIV. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Oh, and then I can hear people saying, are you really calling Trump a peacekeeper? Are you really trying to say he's a child of God? I don't know if Trump is saved or not. He said some things in the past that really concerned me for him when it comes to Christianity and salvation. But I do think this is a good moral. I understand war is sometimes unavoidable. But we should try to make peace. In war, at home, and a lot of things, we should strive for peace. I just want to end on I'm going to ask my audience, if y'all wouldn't mind. I have a couple family members, a few, that need your prayers. Two, in particularly, could use your prayers. I'm going to just call it an unspoken prayer request. And, I love y'all guys. Thank y'all so much for listening. Sorry I got so negative. I don't like being super negative. I hope to have a new spiritual episode and not a rerun up soon. God bless you guys. Thank y'all so much for your support. And I will see you back here soon.